It's really wonderful to be part of this partnership, and it is a partnership. I mean, Waleed was the one who brought us together. He says, "Look, we can do this." So, what is it really with all these wonderful people and those of you that are, called in to watch this? Is what is it that we're really trying to do? We're just trying to say, in the 5 minutes that I have, is that as Waleed said, nature is not an afterthought. Our economic model, and I'm an economist by training and by profession, we were taught, and I taught, that nature was an externality. That's why even there's a technical expression for that, an externality. That means we sign contracts among each other, we do our business together, and then we look at nature as, oh, we didn't mean to do this damage, so now that we're going to pay a tax or a fine, or we're going to subsidize your good behavior. And what all of this, by thinking nature as an afterthought, or that its nature is there and it's always in limitless, boundless in terms of its ability to absorb our behavior, we've reached where we are right now, which is a system that is no longer functioning. And COVID is just one example of what nature is basically pushing back to us, saying enough is enough. You have to change your attitude. You have to recognize that you, just like any other creature on this planet, you have home, and nature is your home. Nature is our home. I'm talking to you, unfortunately, rather than being with you physically from my house. I just had the other day the roofer up here fixing the roof to keep the snow that's coming on Sunday. They tell me there's a big storm coming on Sunday, to keep the water from coming in and to fix the doors so that the wind doesn't come through. It's the same thing. Life is about give and take. We've taken so much. It's time for us to give back while we still have time to do so. So in short, what the paradigm does, it embeds nature in the economic paradigm. Says not that we do our contracts and then we say, oh, what's the impact on nature? No, we do our contract with nature present in the conversation. So whatever we end up doing embeds nature, impact on nature in that decision, and therefore we avoid doing anything that would harm nature, benefit us at the expense of nature. The carbon issue is just what I call the short game. It's just because there's a market for carbon right now, for carbon emission, because it's all about risk reduction of the climate change. But really, Rebalance is much more than that. It's about nature markets. It's about creating a whole economy about what nature offers us. And in order to do so, there is one segment of this society that has been kept out of this conversation. When we talk about conservation in general, it's usually used to be among activists, foundations, governments, okay? Who was left out of all of this were the markets. Markets were ostracized. I come from the markets, okay, the what's in it for me crowd. We're kept out of the tent. But to solve the issue of climate, just because climate is upon us, we need everybody inside the tent working together. What Rebalance does, it brings the market inside the tent in a way that does more good than harm. Markets have the resources that governments may not have, and have the ability to move fast. So what we're doing is bringing everybody together within this paradigm, says, what do markets need to come into this conversation? If you asked me a few years ago, the markets were not there. Today, everybody is there, from the household to the consumer, to the policymaker, to the investor. Everybody's saying, what can we do to solve this problem? Our paradigm solves this problem by saying, this is what the markets need to see in order for us all to solve the problem of today, which is a climate problem and the death or the demise of our natural capital. So what do markets need? Well, the markets need for us to recognize the value, not just talk about the beauty of nature, but to recognize the value in a language that the markets can understand. Okay, be it whatever it is, right now it's dollars and cents. All you were doing is saying, science tells us now, new science. Fabio is going to come and talk about his wonderful work on the elephants. He's the man who discovered that what the elephants do in the forest elephants. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he says elephants are incredibly valuable. Okay, Pershing before 2010 talked about how much the whales are valuable. We as financial economists, now we can put dollar amount to those ecosystem services the services are being offered by these wonderful creatures and systems. And then what we need from there is, once you have it in dollars and cents, to recognize it through the legal system, recognize their right to exist, recognize their right to exist in living their normal lives. Only then the markets say, oh, okay, now these are new systems, these are new assets. Now let's create, we can benefit from these dollar amounts, and therefore the money comes in. But money comes in, let me be very clear on this, how this works, as Walid basically already said it. One is to look after the nature in perpetuity. Very important. We're not in the business of selling assets. We're in the business of recognizing the services that are provided by those natural assets. And two, the money comes in to look after the local communities and indigenous population in perpetuity through meaningful employment and through meaningful income. So our model is a win-win-win. It's a win for nature. It's a win for governments in terms of revenue, if you like. It's a win for the local communities and the indigenous population, who are the true stewards of nature. I'll stop here.